The Deep Space Monitoring Station Aegis 7 floated silently in the dark between stars. Commander Park Hyun walked through the quiet halls, checking on his small crew during the night shift. The station was humanity's farthest outpost, built to watch for dangers that might come from the unknown regions of space. Park Hyun had been commanding Aegis 7 for 3 years. He was a calm man with steady eyes and gray hair at his temples. His crew respected him because he never panicked, even when strange things happened in deep space. Tonight felt different, though he could not say why. "Commander, you need to see this," called Lee Jun from the communications center. His voice carried a note of excitement mixed with worry. Park Hyun hurried to the communications room. Lee Jun was young and eager, the best radio operator the Earth Defense Force had. He sat before a wall of screens that flickered with data streams and signal patterns. His hands moved quickly over the controls. "What do you have, Lee?" Park Hyun asked. "Sir, we picked up something unusual about 20 minutes ago. It's not like anything in our databases." Lee Jun pointed to his main screen. Strange patterns of light danced across it, forming shapes that seemed almost musical. "The signal is coming from somewhere past the Vega system. It's powerful, sir. Really powerful." Park Hyun studied the display. The patterns were beautiful, in a way that made his skin crawl. They moved with purpose, like a language, but not one made by human minds. "Is it directed at us?" he asked. "No, sir. That's the strange part. The signal is broadcasting to multiple star systems, but Earth isn't one of them. It's like we're not important enough to include." Dr. Kim Nari entered the room, still tying her lab coat. She was the station's expert on alien languages, though until now, her job had been mostly theoretical. She had studied every radio signal from space for the past 10 years, hoping to find proof that humans were not alone. Now that proof stared at her from the screens. "Commander, Lee called me about the signal," she said. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook slightly. "This is definitely artificial, definitely alien." Park Hyun felt his heart speed up. First contact. Every person in the Defense Force had trained for this moment, but no one really believed it would happen. Aliens were stories in movies, not real things that sent radio messages in the night. "Can you understand it?" he asked. Dr. Kim Nari moved to a workstation and began typing commands. The alien patterns appeared on her screen, and she started running them through translation programs. "Give me time, sir, but just looking at the structure. This isn't a greeting. This is a warning." The three of them worked in silence for the next hour. Lee Jun refined the signal quality, while Dr. Kim Nari tried to break down the alien language. Park Hyun watched and worried. If this was a warning, what were the aliens warning about? "Got something," Dr. Kim Nari said suddenly. "The translation. Program found repeating patterns. Look at this." She put her results on the main screen. The alien symbols appeared with human words underneath them. The message was broken and incomplete, but the meaning was clear enough to chill the blood. Warning, harvest fleet, approaching, all civilizations, evacuation, consumption, processing. "Harvest fleet?" Lee Jun whispered. Dr. Kim Nari worked faster, pulling more meaning from the signal. "Commander, this message is being sent to multiple star systems. The aliens are warning each other about something called a harvest fleet. Something that consumes civilizations." Park Hyun read the translated fragments again. Consumption, processing. These were not friendly words. "How far away is this signal coming from?" he asked Lee Jun. "Based on signal strength and delay, I'd say maybe 40 light years. But sir, if they're warning about something approaching and this signal took 40 years to reach us..." Park Hyun understood immediately. Whatever the aliens were warning about, it was not 40 years away anymore. It could be much, much closer. "Dr. Kim, keep working on that translation. I need to know everything this message says. Lee, monitor all frequencies. If there are more signals like this, I want to know immediately." Park Hyun walked to his office and sat heavily in his chair. He looked out the window at the stars, which suddenly seemed less peaceful than they had an hour ago. Somewhere in that darkness, aliens were fleeing from something called a harvest fleet, something that consumed entire civilizations. He picked up his communication device and opened a channel to Earth Defense Command. It would take hours for his message to reach Earth, but Admiral Song Jae-won needed to know about this immediately. Earth Defense Command, this is Commander Park Hyun aboard Aegis 7. Priority Alpha message. We have detected alien communications indicating a possible threat. To human space, requesting immediate support and analysis teams. Details to follow. He closed the channel and returned to the communications center. Dr. Kim Nari had made more progress with the translation. The message was becoming clearer, and it was becoming more frightening. "Commander, look at this," she said. The aliens mentioned something called processing centers and conversion protocols. They're not just warning about an invasion. They're warning about something that turns living beings into something else. Lee Jun looked up from his station. "Sir, I'm detecting more signals. Weaker ones, but they're coming from different directions. Different star systems." Park Hyun felt cold. "All the same type of message?" "Similar patterns, yes, sir. But these new ones, they sound more desperate." Dr. Kim Nari ran the new signals through her translation programs. What came back made them all step away from their screens. Last transmission. Harvest fleet arrived. Cannot escape. They take the living. Convert them. Join the fleet. Warn others. The signal cut off. That was a final message, Dr. Kim Nari said quietly. Someone's last words before the Harvest fleet reached them. Park Hyun stared at the screens showing the alien warning. Somewhere in space, things that consumed civilizations were moving between the stars. They took living beings and converted them into part of their fleet. And according to the signals, they were moving in the general direction of human space. "Sir," Lee Jun said, "there's something else. All these warning signals, they're being broadcast to specific star systems, civilizations the aliens know about. But none of them mention Earth or human space." "What does that mean?" Dr. Kim Nari answered. "It means we're not on their maps, Commander. To the aliens sending these warnings, humans don't exist. We're too primitive, too small, too unimportant to notice." Park Hyun felt a strange mix of relief and fear. If the aliens did not know about humans, maybe the Harvest fleet did not know either. Maybe whatever was consuming civilizations would pass by Earth without noticing it. But as he looked at the translation of the alien warnings, one thought kept returning to his mind. The aliens sending these messages were advanced enough to communicate, across dozens of light years. They had technologies humans could only dream of, and they were running in terror from something even more powerful. If beings that advanced were afraid, what chance would humans have if they were discovered? "Keep monitoring," he told his crew. "I want to know everything these aliens are saying. Every warning, every scream, every final message. We need to understand what's coming." Outside the station windows, the stars looked the same as always. But now Park Hyun knew that somewhere among them, ancient terrors moved through the darkness, harvesting entire worlds, and humanity, invisible and unknown, lay directly in their path. 3 days had passed since the first alien warning reached Aegis 7. Commander Park Hyun had not slept well since then. Every few hours, new signals arrived from different parts of space. Each one brought worse news. Dr. Kim Nari had set up a permanent workstation in the communication center. Her translation programs ran constantly, turning alien panic into human words. The patterns were becoming clearer. 3 different alien species were sending warnings about the same threat. "Commander," she called, not looking up from her screens. "I've identified the 3 species sending these messages. The first ones call themselves the Velathi. Their signals are like crystal music, very precise and mathematical. The second group are the Nethrons. Their language flows like water, very smooth and connected. The third are the Korvani. They don't use sound at all. They communicate with pure energy patterns." Park Hyun stood behind her, reading the latest translations. "What are they saying now?" "The Velathi lost contact with 2 of their colony worlds yesterday. The Nethrons are evacuating their outer settlements. The Korvani, their last message was just screaming, Commander. Pure terror translated into energy." Lee Jun looked up from his monitoring station. His young face was pale with exhaustion. "Sir, I've been tracking the signal sources. The Velathi messages started coming from coordinates near the Altair system. Now they're coming from much closer to their home star. Whatever's chasing them, it's pushing them back toward their main worlds." The door to the communications center slid open. Captain Choi Minho entered, still wearing his travel suit from the long journey to Aegis 7. He commanded the patrol vessel Defiant, one of humanity's newest deep space ships. Park Hyun had called for him after the first alien signals arrived. "Commander Park," Captain Choi said, shaking hands. "I came as fast as I could. What's this about alien contact?" Park Hyun gestured to the screens full of alien warnings. "Captain, we've discovered that humanity is not alone in the universe. We've also discovered that something is hunting our new neighbors." Captain Choi studied the translated messages. He was a practical man, more interested in facts than fears. "How reliable is this intelligence?" "Very reliable," Dr. Kim Nari answered. "We've received over 40 different transmissions from 3 separate alien species. All of them are warning about the same thing, something called a harvest fleet that consumes entire civilizations." "Consumes how?" Dr. Kim Nari brought up her latest analysis. "From what we can understand, the harvest fleet doesn't just destroy civilizations. It takes living beings and converts them into part of the fleet itself. The aliens use words that translate to processing and integration. They're turned into something else." Captain Choi was quiet for a long moment. "How far away is this threat?" Lee Jun answered. "Based on the signal timestamps and the aliens' retreat patterns, we estimate the harvest fleet is somewhere between 15 and 20 light years from Earth." "But sir, that's not the worst part." "What's the worst part?" Park Hyun spoke grimly. "Show him the trajectory analysis, Lee." Lee Jun brought up a star map on the main screen. Red dots marked the locations where alien warnings had originated. Blue lines showed the estimated path of the harvest fleet based on which alien worlds had gone silent and when. "The harvest fleet is moving in a straight line through this region of space," Lee Jun explained. "Based on their current path and speed, they'll reach our solar system in approximately 18 months. Captain Choi stared at the star map. The blue line passed directly through the yellow dot marking Earth's location. "Are we certain they know we're here?" he asked. "No, sir," Dr. Kim Nari replied. "That might be our only advantage. None of the alien warning signals mention humans or Earth. We appear to be completely unknown to galactic civilization. We're invisible. That's good, right? If they don't know we exist, maybe they'll pass us by." Park Hyun shook his head. "I thought the same thing, Captain, but look at this." He brought up a detailed analysis of the harvest fleet's movement pattern. "They're not just attacking known civilizations. They're systematically moving through every star system in their path. Whether they know about inhabitants or not, they search every world." A new signal arrived while they spoke. The communication systems beeped urgently, and Lee Jun quickly tuned in the transmission. This one was stronger than the others, closer, to Earth. Dr. Kim Nari ran it through her translation programs. What came back made everyone in the room go silent. Urgent warning to all civilizations. Harvest Fleet has taken the Velethi homeworlds. 7 billion processed. Fleet growing larger, moving to coordinates 247.3 by 19.7. Warn the children of water. Warn the energy dancers. The signal faded to static. "Commander," Lee Jun said quietly. "Coordinates 247.3 by 19.7. That's the Nethran home system." Captain Choi looked at the faces around him. "How long do the Nethrans have?" Based on the Harvest Fleet's previous speed, Dr. Kim Nari calculated, maybe 6 weeks. They listened to more transmissions over the next few hours. The story they told was horrible. The Velethi had been an ancient civilization, masters of crystal technology and mathematical perfection. They had ruled 12 star systems for thousands of years. Now they were gone, converted into part of the thing that had destroyed them. "Captain," Park Hyun said during a quiet moment, "I need to tell you something else. Something that's been bothering me since this started." "What is it?" 3 days ago, before we received the first alien signal, we lost contact with mining station Delta 7 in the outer asteroid belt. And yesterday, colony ship New Hope missed its scheduled check-in from the Ross 128 system. Captain Choi felt cold suddenly. I think the Harvest Fleet might already be in human space, Captain. I think it might have found our outer settlements before we even knew it existed." Lee Jun had been quietly monitoring radio frequencies during their conversation. Now he spoke up, his voice tight with worry. "Sirs, I'm detecting another signal. This one's different. It's coming from inside our own solar system." Everyone rushed to his station. The signal was weak, but clearly artificial, and it was moving, getting stronger as it approached. "Can you identify the source?" Park Hyun asked. Lee Jun worked frantically at his controls. "It's a human ship, sir. Transponder identifies it as the cargo vessel Morning Star. But, sir, the signal is wrong." "Wrong how?" "The transmission frequency is off. The encryption codes are outdated. And the voice—" "Listen to this." He played the audio over the speakers. A human voice spoke, but something was terribly wrong with it. The words were right, but the tone was flat, emotionless. It sounded like a human voice, but not a human mind. "This is cargo vessel Morning Star. Requesting docking clearance at Aegis 7. We have important cargo for transfer. Please respond immediately." Dr. Kim Nari checked her records. "Commander, the Morning Star was reported missing 3 months ago near the edge of the solar system. It never returned from its mining run." Captain Choi grabbed Park Hyun's arm. "Commander, we need to evacuate this station immediately. That's not a human crew anymore." Park Hyun looked at the approaching signal on Lee Jun's screen. The ship that had been missing for 3 months was coming home, but it was bringing something terrible with it. "All hands, this is the commander," he announced over the station intercom. "Emergency evacuation protocol. All personnel to escape. Pods immediately. This is not a drill." As the crew rushed to abandon Aegis 7, the thing that used to be the Morning Star continued its approach. The Harvest Fleet had found humanity, and it had learned to wear human faces. The emergency session aboard the flagship Indomitable was unlike anything in human military history. Admiral Song Ji-won sat at the head of a large table surrounded by Earth's best military minds. The evidence before them painted a picture of approaching doom. Admiral Song was a small woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. She had commanded Earth's deep space fleet for 15 years, fighting pirates and rebels. Now she faced something far worse than human enemies. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, 48 hours ago, we learned that humanity is not alone in the universe. We also learned that something is systematically destroying every civilization it encounters. The question before us today is simple. What do we do about it?" Commander Park Hyun stood to address the council. He had barely escaped Aegis 7 before the converted Morning Star arrived. His small crew was safe, but they had lost their monitoring station and all the alien data they had collected. "Admiral, the Harvest Fleet is unlike anything we've prepared for," he said. "They don't just destroy civilizations, they convert them. Every living being becomes part of their fleet. The Velati had technologies far beyond ours, and they lasted less than a week." General Han Minji, head of Earth Defense Marines, studied the tactical reports. "What do we know about their military capabilities?" Dr. Yang Sumin, the fleet's chief tactical analyst, activated a holographic display. She was young for such an important position, but her mind worked like a computer when analyzing enemy patterns. "Based on the alien transmissions and the attack on Aegis 7, we can estimate several things," Dr. Yang began. "First, they're fast. The Harvest Fleet moved between the Velothi homeworlds in a matter of days. Second, they're adaptable. They converted a human cargo ship in just 3 months. Third, they're patient. They don't just attack randomly. They study their targets first." Captain Choi Min-ho spoke from his seat near the Admiral. "What about their weaknesses?" "Every enemy has weaknesses." Engineer Kang Dae-hyun raised his hand. He was the fleet's leading expert on stealth technology, the systems that let human ships hide from each other during the corporate wars. "Admiral, I've been thinking about this problem differently," he said. "Everyone's focusing on how powerful the Harvest Fleet is. But there's something interesting about how they operate. They send warning signals to known civilizations. They follow predictable attack patterns. They seem to expect their enemies to act in logical, organized ways." Admiral Song leaned forward. "Continue. The alien species they've destroyed were all advanced civilizations with millions of years of development. They probably fight wars using careful planning and logical strategies. But humans, we're different. We're chaotic. We do things that don't make sense." Dr. Shin Yujin, the xenotechnology researcher, nodded eagerly. She had been studying the few pieces of Harvest Fleet technology recovered from the converted Morning Star before it was destroyed. "Engineer Kang is right," she said. "I've analyzed their technology, and it's incredibly advanced but also rigid. Everything operates according to precise patterns. Their computer systems can adapt to logical responses, but chaos confuses them. General Han crossed her arms. That's all very interesting, but we're talking about fighting an enemy that destroyed civilizations millions of years older than us. Being chaotic won't save us from superior firepower. Maybe it will, said a new voice from the back of the room. Everyone turned to see Colonel Bae Hyunwoo, commander of Special Operations. He rarely spoke in meetings, but when he did, people listened. Colonel? Admiral Song prompted. I've been thinking about this like a special operations mission, he said. The Harvest Fleet expects to fight large civilizations with massive armies and logical strategies. They've never encountered an enemy like us. He walked to the holographic display and pointed to the estimated location of the Harvest Fleet. We're invisible to them. They don't know we exist because we're too primitive to register on their detection systems. That's not a weakness. That's our greatest advantage. We can get close to them without being detected. Admiral Song considered this. Around the table, other officers began to nod slowly. What exactly are you proposing, Colonel? A preemptive strike, Colonel Bae said. We don't wait for them to find Earth. We find them first. We hit them while they're still processing the Nethran civilization and before they discover us. The room erupted in arguments. Several officers shouted that it was suicide to attack such a powerful enemy. Others argued that hiding was their only chance for survival. Admiral Song raised her hand for silence. Dr. Yang, what's your analysis? Can we hurt them? Dr. Yang studied her tactical data. Admiral, if we could get close enough, yes. Their ships are powerful, but not indestructible. The problem is getting close. Their sensors are far more advanced than ours. Engineer Kang stood again. That's where our stealth technology comes in. We developed it to hide from human sensors, but it might work against theirs too. Their systems are designed to detect advanced civilizations, not primitive ones using crude technology. Dr. Shin Yujin added, I've been studying their communication patterns. They coordinate everything through a central command structure. If we could disrupt that, their fleet would become confused and disorganized. Admiral Song looked around the table at the faces of Earth's defenders. They were scared, but they were also angry. The Harvest Fleet had attacked humanity's outer settlements. They had converted human beings into monsters. They were planning to do the same to Earth. Show of hands, she said. All in favor of hiding and hoping the Harvest Fleet passes us by. 3 hands rose hesitantly. All in favor of taking the fight to them. The rest of the hands shot up immediately. Admiral Song nodded grimly. Then it's decided. We go to war. She turned to her staff officers. I want every available ship prepared for deep space operations. Every stealth system we have needs to be tested and improved. Every weapon needs to be checked and loaded. Admiral, Commander Park Hyun said. There's something else we need to consider. The other aliens, the ones still fighting the Harvest Fleet. The Nethrans and the Corvani are still sending warning signals. If we're going to fight this enemy, we shouldn't fight alone. Dr. Kim Nari, who had been quietly working on alien translations throughout the meeting, looked up from her portable computer. Commander Park is right, she said. I've been monitoring the alien communications. The Nethrans are still fighting, but they're losing. The Corvani have gone silent completely. But there might be others. Alien species that escaped the Harvest Fleet and are hiding like we've been considering. Admiral Song made her decision. Dr. Kim, I want you to work with Communications Officer Lee to send a message to any surviving aliens. Tell them that humanity is willing to fight alongside them against the Harvest Fleet. What should I tell them about us, Admiral? They don't even know we exist. Admiral Song smiled grimly. Tell them that Earth's children are young and angry, and we don't know how to surrender. Over the next several hours, the Indomitable became the center of frantic preparations. Ships were recalled from across human space. Weapons were tested and retested. Engineer Kang worked with his teams to improve the stealth systems that would let human ships approach the Harvest Fleet undetected. Dr. Shin Yujin studied every piece of alien technology they could find, looking for weaknesses to exploit. Dr. Yang ran combat simulations, trying to find tactics that might work against an enemy far more powerful than humanity. As night fell aboard the flagship, Admiral Song stood alone in her ready room, looking out at the stars. Somewhere among them, the Harvest Fleet was converting the Nethran civilization into more ships and soldiers. In 18 months, maybe less, they would reach Earth, but they would not find a helpless world waiting for them. They would find humanity, and humanity had decided to fight. The war for the survival of all free civilizations was about to begin. The attack began in silence. 12 human ships moved through the darkness like ghosts, their stealth systems hiding them from the most advanced sensors in the galaxy. Pilot Oh Sung-ho gripped the controls of his fighter Shadow Walker and watched, the impossible sight before him. The Harvest Fleet filled space like a cancer. Hundreds of massive ships, each one larger than Earth's biggest cities, moved in perfect formation around what used to be the Nethran homeworld. The planet's blue, oceans had turned black, and strange structures grew from its surface like metal trees. "Ghost leader to all units," Oh Sung-ho whispered into his radio. "Target confirmed. Beginning attack run." The plan was simple, because it had to be. Humanity did not have the firepower to destroy the Harvest Fleet in open battle. Instead, they would strike like insects, hitting vital systems and disappearing before the enemy could respond. Oh Sung-ho's fighter was small and fast, built for reconnaissance rather than combat. But Engineer Kang had modified it with the best stealth technology humanity possessed. To the Harvest Fleet's sensors, the Shadow Walker was invisible. Behind him, 11 other pilots prepared for the most dangerous mission in human history. They had volunteered knowing they probably would not return. But someone had to strike the first blow. "Ghost 2 beginning infiltration run," reported Lieutenant Park Soo-jin. Her ship's Silent Storm peeled away from the formation and headed toward the largest harvest vessel. Intelligence suggested it was the command ship. Oh Seung-ho watched her approach the enormous alien vessel. The command ship was shaped like a twisted spear, black metal covered with pulsing lights. Smaller ships moved around it like fish around a whale. Park Soo-jin's fighter was so tiny compared to it that it looked like a speck of dust. "Infiltration successful," she reported. "I'm inside their outer sensor grid. They can't see me." That was the theory, anyway. Engineer Kang believed that the Harvest Fleet's sensors were designed to detect advanced civilizations with sophisticated technology. Human stealth systems were primitive by galactic standards, too crude for the aliens to notice. So far, the theory was working. Oh Seung-ho guided his own fighter toward a cluster of smaller Harvest ships. These were the processing vessels where captured aliens were converted into part of the fleet. Intelligence wanted to know how the conversion process worked. As he got closer, he could see into the ships through transparent sections in their hulls. What he saw made his stomach turn. Thousands of beings that used to be Nethrans moved through the corridors, but they walked wrong. Their movements were too precise, too coordinated. They were no longer individuals. They had become parts of a machine. "Ghost leader to command," he reported. "Confirming intelligence reports. The Harvest Fleet converts captured populations into drone workers. They're still alive, but they're not themselves anymore." "Copy that, Ghost leader," came Admiral Song's voice from the flagship Indomitable, hiding far outside the battle zone. "Continue mission." Oh Seung-ho attached his ship to the hull of a processing vessel and began cutting through the metal with a plasma torch. The aliens inside had no idea they were being invaded by something too primitive for their sensors to detect. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Park Soo-jin had reached the command ship. She flew her fighter through an open docking bay, past alien craft that could have swallowed her ship whole. Harvest Fleet drones moved cargo through the bay, their movements perfectly synchronized. "Ghost 2 inside the command vessel," she whispered. "Deploying infiltration team." From her fighter's cargo bay, Marine. Han Minji and her team emerged wearing powered armor painted with the same stealth coating as the ships. They moved carefully through the alien corridors, following intelligence maps based on captured Harvest technology. Marine Han was a small woman, but her armor made her strong enough to punch through steel. She carried weapons designed to disrupt alien computer systems rather than kill individual enemies. Her mission was to plant virus programs in the Harvest Fleet's central computers. The corridors of the command ship were vast and dark, lit by strange lights that hurt human eyes. Converted aliens walked past the infiltration team without seeing them. The Harvest Fleet's detection systems were designed to find advanced threats, not primitive humans wearing simple stealth gear. Infiltration team at target location, Marine. Han reported. Beginning virus upload. She connected her portable computer to what appeared to be a main data junction. The virus programs, designed by Earth's best computer experts, began copying themselves into the Harvest Fleet's network. They were crude by galactic standards, but that was the point. The alien systems could not recognize them as threats. Back. Outside, Oh Sung-ho had entered the processing vessel and was recording everything he saw. The conversion chambers were horrible beyond description. Living beings entered one end as individuals and emerged as mindless drones. The process took only minutes. But he also found something unexpected. In a storage bay, he discovered dozens of small alien ships that had been captured but not yet processed. They were Nethran escape craft, still containing their original crews. Ghost Leader to all units, he broadcast. I found survivors. Nethran civilians in Capture Bay 7. We can save them. Negative, Ghost Leader, came the response from Admiral Song. Mission priority is intelligence gathering and sabotage. You cannot risk the mission for a rescue. Oh Sung-ho looked at the alien ships. Inside them were families, children, beings, who had fled their dying world only to be captured by the Harvest Fleet. They would be converted within hours if nothing was done. Understood, Command, he said. Then he switched to a private frequency. Ghost 2, Ghost 3, Ghost 7. You, hearing this? We hear you, Leader, came Lieutenant Park's voice. Change of plans. We're taking some passengers home. What happened next was exactly the kind of chaotic, illogical response that the Harvest Fleet could not predict. Instead of following their mission orders, the human pilots began rescuing alien survivors. They used their fighters' cargo bays to evacuate Nethran families. They destroyed processing equipment to slow down the conversion of other captives. Marine Han's virus upload was working perfectly. The crude human computer programs spread through the Harvest Fleet's network like a disease, disrupting communications and navigation systems. But instead of withdrawing as planned, she led her team deeper into the command ship. Marine Han to Ghost Leader, she reported. We found their central command center. I can do more than just plant viruses. I can steal their navigation data. We can find out where they're going next. The rescue operation should have been impossible. The human ships were outnumbered 1,000 to 1, but the Harvest Fleet could not respond effectively to an enemy that did not follow logical patterns. When their sensors detected escaped prisoners, they expected the rescue ships to be large and well-armed. They could not imagine that tiny primitive fighters were somehow invisible to their detection grid. When their computers began failing, they expected organized cyber warfare from an advanced civilization. They could not understand that the attacking programs were so simple and crude that their security systems ignored them. Oh Sung-ho's fighter Shadow Walker was now packed with rescued Nethran civilians. The aliens were weak from captivity, but alive and aware. They spoke in their flowing musical language, asking questions he could not understand. Ghost Leader to all units, he called. Extraction in 60 seconds. Everyone out. Lieutenant Park Soo-jin's fighter emerged from the command ship, carrying Marine Han's team and stolen navigation data. The other pilots had rescued more than 300 alien survivors. It was not many compared to the billions the Harvest Fleet had captured, but it was a start. As the human ships prepared to escape, the virus programs Marine Han had planted reached the Harvest Fleet's central coordination system. Suddenly, the perfect formation of alien ships began to break apart. Navigation systems failed. Communication networks crashed. For the first time in millions of years, the Harvest Fleet experienced chaos. All units. Withdrawal complete. Oh, Sung-ho reported as the last human ship cleared the battle zone. Mission successful. Behind them, the Harvest Fleet struggled to restore order to their disrupted systems. They had been attacked by an enemy they could not see, could not predict, and could not understand. The war had begun, and humanity had struck the first blow. The rescue of the Nethran survivors changed everything. News of the impossible rescue spread through what remained of galactic civilization like wildfire. Species that had been hiding in fear suddenly dared to hope again. Colonel Bae Hyunwoo stood in the medical bay of the Indomitable, watching as Dr. Kim Nari attempted to communicate with the rescued Nethrans. The aquatic aliens were unlike anything humans had imagined. tall and graceful, with skin that shifted color like water and large eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. "Progress report, Dr. Kim?" Colonel Bay asked. "It's remarkable," she replied, her voice full of excitement. "Their language is incredibly complex, but some of them are learning basic English. They're sharing information about the Harvest Fleet that our intelligence never could have discovered alone." One of the Nethrons, an elderly individual whose skin showed patterns of deep blue and silver, approached Dr. Kim. When it spoke, its voice sounded like singing water. "Young ones of Earth," it said carefully in broken English. "We thank you. No one fights the Devourers before." Dr. Kim smiled and spoke slowly back. "We want to help. Can you tell us more about the Harvest Fleet?" The Nethran's skin flashed with rapid color changes, apparently their equivalent of excited speech. Dr. Kim's translation programs worked to keep up. "They call themselves the Eternal Convergence," she translated. "They believe that all life in the galaxy should be united under their control. They've been doing this for millions of years, moving from galaxy to galaxy." Colonel Bay felt cold. "Galaxy to galaxy? How many civilizations have they destroyed?" The Nethran spoke again, its colors growing darker and more muted. Dr. Kim's face went pale as she translated. "Thousands of galaxies, billions of species. The Nethran's historical records speak of civilizations that tried to fight back. All of them failed. The Convergence always wins because they learn from every battle and become stronger." "But they didn't expect us," Colonel Bay said grimly. The Nethran's skin brightened slightly. What Dr. Kim was learning meant hope or curiosity. It spoke again, more rapidly this time. "What's it saying?" Colonel Bay asked. "It's asking why humans are different. Why we were able to rescue them when species far more advanced than us have failed for millions of years." Before Colonel Bay could answer, communications specialist Lim Sora's voice came over the ship's intercom. "All senior staff to the bridge. Immediately. We're receiving multiple alien transmissions. The bridge of the Indomitable was crowded with officers when Colonel Bay arrived. Admiral Song stood before the main screen, which showed a complex display of incoming signals from across the galaxy. "Report," Admiral Song ordered. Lim Sora worked frantically at her communication station. "Admiral, we're receiving messages from dozens of different alien species. Word about the rescue operation has spread through their communication networks. They all want to know about humanity." "What are they saying?" Dr. Kim, who had followed Colonel Bay to the bridge, took over a translation station. "The first message is from a species called the Zephyrians. They're offering to share their weapons technology if we'll help rescue their people from a Harvest Fleet processing center. The second is from something called the Crystal Collective," Lim Sora added. "They want to know how our ships became invisible to harvest sensors." More messages continued to arrive. Species that had been hiding for decades were reaching out to the strange new civilization that had somehow struck back at the Harvest Fleet and lived to tell about it. Captain Nam Ji-hoon, the fleet's tactical operations commander, studied the incoming data. "Admiral, this is unprecedented. We're looking at the formation of the first multi-species alliance against the Harvest Fleet in galactic history." Admiral Song considered the implications. "Dr. Kim, can we coordinate with these alien species? Do we have the communication protocols?" "The Nethrans can help us," Dr. Kim replied. "They know the communication methods of most of these species. But, Admiral, there's something else. The aliens are sharing intelligence about Harvest Fleet movements. They're not just moving toward Earth anymore. They're changing course. Changing course how? Captain Choi Minho, who had been monitoring tactical displays, spoke up grimly. "They're gathering their forces, Admiral. Our attack disrupted their operations, but it also got their attention. Intelligence suggests they're calling in additional fleets from other regions of space." Dr. Yang Sumin confirmed his analysis. "The attack was more successful than we hoped, but it also escalated the situation. Instead of one Harvest Fleet approaching Earth, we now face multiple fleets converging on this region of space." The bridge fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. Their successful rescue mission had saved alien lives and inspired galactic resistance, but it had also turned humanity into the Harvest Fleet's primary target. "How long do we have?" Admiral Song asked. Based on the intelligence from our alien contacts, Dr. Yang calculated, approximately 6 months before the main Harvest Armada reaches human space. Colonel Bay stepped forward. Admiral, with respect, that might be exactly what we need. Explain. The Harvest Fleet's greatest strength has always been that they fight isolated civilizations one at a time. Each species faces them alone and gets overwhelmed, but if we can coordinate a multi-species defense, Captain Nam nodded enthusiastically. A joint fleet, ships from multiple species using combined technologies and tactics. The Harvest Fleet has never faced anything like that. Admiral Song looked around at her officers. What's our force projection? How many alien species are willing to fight alongside us? Lim Sora consulted her communications logs. So far, 17 different species have offered military support. The Zephyrians have fast attack ships. The Crystal Collective has defensive shield technology. The Corvani survivors have energy weapons more powerful than anything we've seen. And the Netherans? Admiral Song asked. Dr. Kim smiled. They have something even better than weapons, Admiral. They have detailed maps of Harvest Fleet structures and tactics going back thousands of years. They know how the enemy thinks. Over the following weeks, the Indomitable became the center of the largest military alliance in galactic history. Alien ships began arriving at secret rendezvous points throughout human space. Each species brought unique technologies and perspectives. The Zephyrian ships were incredibly fast, designed for hit-and-run attacks. The Crystal Collective vessels could link their defensive shields together to protect entire fleets. The Corvani energy weapons could punch through any armor the Harvest Fleet possessed, but the most valuable contribution came from an unexpected source. The rescued Netheran Elder, whose name translated roughly to Flowing Wisdom, approached Admiral Song with a proposal that changed everything. Admiral, Dr. Kim translated as the Netheran spoke, Flowing Wisdom says the Harvest Fleet has one weakness they've never been able to overcome. They cannot adapt to truly random tactics because their entire system depends on prediction and control. We figured that out already, Admiral Song replied. Human unpredictability is our greatest advantage. The Netheran's skin flashed with complex patterns. Dr. Kim's eyes widened as she translated. No, Admiral, Flowing Wisdom isn't talking about tactical unpredictability. They're talking about strategic chaos. A battle plan so random and illogical that even the people fighting it don't know what's going to happen next. Admiral Song leaned forward with interest. Go on. The Netherans have been studying human military history, Dr. Kim continued. They're fascinated by something they call controlled madness. Human tactics that shouldn't work but do because they're too crazy for the enemy to predict. Flowing Wisdom spoke again, its skin showing patterns that Dr. Kim said meant excitement and hope. What's the proposal? Admiral Song asked. Dr. Kim smiled. They want us to teach the entire alien alliance how to fight like humans, how to be unpredictable, chaotic, and completely insane by galactic standards. Captain Nam laughed out loud. Admiral, are we seriously considering teaching alien civilizations how to act crazy? Admiral Song looked out at the stars, where alien fleets were gathering for the most important battle in galactic history. Soon, they would face an enemy that had conquered thousands of galaxies. But for the first time, that enemy would face something they had never encountered before, an alliance of civilizations that had learned to fight like humans. Make it happen, she ordered. It's time to show the galaxy what controlled madness can accomplish. The final battle began with silence. 3 massive Harvest fleets hung in space near the edge of Earth's solar system, their dark ships forming perfect geometric patterns against the stars. They had come expecting to find a primitive world ready for processing. Instead, they found something impossible. Hundreds of ships from dozens of different species waited for them in chaotic formations that hurt to look at. Sleek Zephyrian fighters flew alongside blocky human destroyers. Crystal Collective vessels formed impossible shapes that seemed to bend light. Corvani energy ships pulsed with contained power. Admiral Song Jiwan stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, surrounded by alien advisors and human officers. The command center looked like a scene from a fever dream, with beings of different shapes and sizes working together at stations designed for human hands. Status report, she ordered. Captain Nam Jahoon consulted his tactical displays. All Alliance, fleets in position, Admiral. 237 ships from 18 different species. The Harvest Fleet outnumbers us 3-1, but our ships are more diverse than anything they've faced before. What about our special preparations, Engineer? Kang Daehyun smiled grimly. All ships equipped with randomization protocols, Admiral. Our battle computers are programmed to change tactics every 30 seconds without logical patterns. Even we won't know what we're going to do next. This was the heart of the human strategy. Instead of planning elaborate battle tactics that the Harvest Fleet could predict and counter, the Alliance ships would fight using controlled chaos. Their own computers would randomly select from thousands of different attack patterns, making it impossible for anyone to predict what would happen. Next, Dr. Kim Nari monitored communications from the alien ships. Admiral, Flowing Wisdom reports that the Netheren fleet is ready. The Crystal Collective confirms their defensive grids are active. The Korvani energy dancers are, I think the translation is, singing for war. And our human ships? Colonel Bae Hyun-woo checked his special operations reports. All boarding teams prepared, Admiral. If we can get close enough to their command ships, we'll plant virus programs in their central computers just like before. Admiral Song looked at the massive enemy formation on her screens. Each Harvest ship was larger than anything in the Alliance fleet. Their weapons were more powerful, their armor stronger, their technology millions of years more advanced, but they had never fought an enemy that didn't make sense. All ships, she announced over the fleet communications system. This is Admiral Song. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for every free civilization in the galaxy. The enemy expects us to surrender or die with honor. Instead, we're going to do something they've never seen before. We're going to win. The battle began when the Harvest Fleet opened fire. Energy beams that could destroy planets lanced out toward the Alliance ships. But instead of responding with their own weapons, the Alliance fleet did something completely unexpected. They scattered, not in retreat, but in patterns so random that they looked like pure chaos. Ships dove in impossible directions, performed maneuvers that served no tactical purpose, and fired weapons at empty space. To any logical observer, it looked like the Alliance had gone completely insane. The Harvest Fleet's computers tried to predict the Alliance's movements and failed. Their targeting systems could not lock onto ships that moved without purpose. Their tactical analysis programs crashed when they tried to find patterns in pure randomness. Phase 1 successful, Captain Nam reported, as Harvest weapons missed their targets by massive margins. Their predictive systems are overloading. Begin Phase 2, Admiral Song ordered. Now the real attack began. While the Harvest fleet struggled, to understand the chaotic movements of the Alliance ships, small human fighters began infiltrating their formations. Oh Sung-ho led a squadron of stealth fighters directly through the enemy battle line, their ships invisible to sensors designed to detect logical threats. Ghost leader to all units, he called. Remember, no attack patterns. Hit whatever looks important and keep moving. The human fighters struck like angry wasps, attacking random targets with no apparent strategy. They destroyed communication arrays on some ships, weapon systems on others, and navigation computers on still others. Each attack was different, serving no overall tactical purpose except to spread confusion. Meanwhile, Marine Han Minji led boarding parties onto Harvest command ships. The Alliance had learned from their first successful infiltration. Instead of sending large organized assault teams, they sent small groups of Marines from different species, each using completely different tactics. Boarding Team Alpha inside. Harvest Vessel 7, Marine Han reported, planting virus programs in their navigation system. Boarding Team Gamma inside Harvest Vessel 12, came another report from a Zephyrian commando. Destroying their food processing centers because they smell bad. The randomness was the key. The Harvest Fleet's computers tried to find patterns in the attacks and failed completely. How could they predict an enemy that attacked food processors for no military reason? But the Alliance was paying a terrible price for their chaos. The Harvest Fleet might be confused, but they were still incredibly powerful. Alliance ships exploded under massive energy barrages. Brave pilots died as their fighters were swatted from space like insects. Admiral, Dr. Yang reported grimly, we've lost 40% of our fleet. The randomization protocols are working, but we can't keep this up much longer. Admiral Song watched the battle displays showing her ships dying. Each lost vessel represented hundreds of lives, beings from across the galaxy who had chosen to fight instead of hide. Then Commander Park Hyun's voice came over the communication system from his new command, the scout ship Horizon. "Admiral, I'm detecting something strange in the Harvest Fleet formation. Their command ships are trying to coordinate with each other, but our virus programs are interfering with their communications. They're starting to attack each other by mistake." Dr. Kim Nari looked up from her translation station with excitement. "Admiral, flowing wisdom says this is unprecedented. The Harvest Fleet has never experienced command confusion before. Their entire system depends on perfect coordination." "Confirmed," Captain Nam added. "I'm seeing Harvest ships firing on their own forces. Their computer systems can't tell the difference between Alliance ships and their own vessels anymore." "Admiral," Song saw the opportunity immediately. "All ships, implement Protocol Omega. Attack the Harvest Fleet's confusion, not their ships." Protocol Omega was the most insane tactic humans had ever devised. Instead of trying to destroy enemy vessels directly, Alliance ships began flying directly between Harvest Fleet formations, making the enemy ships accidentally target each other. The result was chaos beyond imagination. Massive Harvest vessels, each one powerful enough to destroy planets, began firing on their own allies. Their perfect formations collapsed into swirling battles where no one could tell friend from enemy. Sung-ho led his fighters in the most dangerous mission of the war. Flying directly through the crossfire between Harvest ships, his squadron guided enemy weapons toward the largest command vessels. "Ghost Leader to Admiral Song," he called as explosions lit up space around him. "The biggest Harvest ship is trying to escape. Should we pursue?" "Negative, Ghost Leader," Admiral Song replied. "Let it go. Let it carry the news back to whatever's left of the Harvest Fleet." As the battle wound down, the scope of the Alliance victory became clear. 3 entire Harvest fleets had been destroyed or scattered, not by superior firepower, but by chaos and confusion. The enemy's own strength had been turned against them, but the cost was terrible. More than half the Alliance fleet was gone, including many of the bravest souls Admiral Song had ever commanded. The bridge of the Indomitable was quiet as they counted their losses. "Casualty reports," she ordered softly. Colonel Bay consulted his data. 60% losses overall, Admiral, but we saved the remaining Nethran population. The Crystal Collective's homeworlds are secure. The Corvani Energy dancers are safe. And Earth? Earth is safe, Admiral. The Harvest Fleet won't be back anytime soon. Dr. Kim Nari looked up from her communication station. "Admiral, I'm receiving messages from across the galaxy. Species that have been hiding for centuries are coming out of hiding. They want to join our alliance." Admiral Song nodded slowly. The war was over, but the work was just beginning. Humanity had introduced chaos to a galaxy that had known only order and oppression. The effects would spread for generations. Commander Park Hyun's voice came over the intercom one final time. "Admiral, the monitoring station New Aegis is picking up signals from the edge of the galaxy. They're not warnings this time. They're songs." "Songs?" "Yes, ma'am. The surviving alien civilizations are singing. Flowing wisdom says it's a song of freedom. The first one heard in galactic space for millions of years." Admiral Song looked out at the stars, where the wreckage of the Harvest Fleet drifted in chaotic patterns. Somewhere among those stars, ancient civilizations were learning to sing again because a young species from a small blue world had chosen to fight battles that weren't theirs. The dangerous signal that had started it all was finally quiet. In its place, the galaxy echoed with something it had almost forgotten. Hope. The age of the Harvest Fleet was ending. The age of Sci